From the 1975 album Alive, that was Kiss with probably their biggest hit, Rock and Roll All Night. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to Toolbox Tuesday, where we share knowledge with you. We put new tools in your toolbox and we help you to find success when you're out there in the field. Before we kick off today's session, I am going to ask my producer in the background to share that screen real quick and let's talk about some of our webinars that are coming up in the month of November. There we go. All right, so November is going to be a little bit different, everybody, and I wanted to make sure that we got ahead of this. So take a look at the screen right now, okay? Tuesday, November 4th, which is next week, we're going to do a coffee with closers with our CEO, Justin Volrath. But that following week, Tuesday, November 11th, there will be no sessions happening. Reason being, our offices are going to be closed. And that is Veterans Day, so unfortunately no webinars on that day. However, we are going to be back the following week, which is Tuesday, November 18th. And my special guest is going to be our very own Chris Torres from PayCompass, and he's going to give you guys some pretty cool updates regarding Navigo. You're not going to want to miss that one. And during that last week of November, there will be no sessions because that will be the week of Thanksgiving. And of course, I love you so much. I had to put a heavy metal turkey in the graphic. So there you go, friends. I will be sending out the invites for the November sessions tomorrow. So watch your inbox. As always, if you don't see the invites populating on your calendar, by all means, reach out. sales@paycompass.com, and we're going to be more than happy to get those invites on your calendar. Those will be sent out tomorrow, friends, so watch your inbox. As always, whenever we do Toolbox Tuesday, we give you permission to use those AI note takers. Not a problem at all. Go ahead, get those launched, go back, review all the content that we covered. Absolutely, positively, we understand that some people do better with a summary than they do going back and watching a video. Did I say a video? Yeah, you bet I did, because we're recording this right now and we're going to post it on our YouTube channel probably within the next 24 hours or so. If you have not checked out our YouTube channel, man, oh man, you are missing out. We got a whole bunch of content in there from 2025 with all of our other product partners. Make sure that you do check it out. Whew, that was a lot of announcements, and we got to get on with the show because today is Toolbox Tuesday, but today we're doing things a little bit different. Normally, we'll cover point of sale systems, or we'll cover payment terminals, or we'll cover virtual terminals. Yeah, not today. Today, we're going to talk about a different tool in your toolbox and the conversation that you can have with your merchants so that you can help them through the holidays. But I can't do this by myself. Heck no. I needed to bring in a guest panelist. Ladies and gentlemen, please give some love to my new friend, Sharon, who comes to us from Momentum Lending. Sharon, what's up, my man?
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you all for joining today.
Thank you for being here, my man. I've really enjoyed putting together this session with you because it's a little different from what we normally do. Normally we do technology that sits on the counter and everything else, but man, oh man, these are different conversations. But before we begin, Sharon, why don't you just kind of educate our audience, give a little bit of the background as far as Momentum Lending, who you are, and why our agents should be leaning into you to help their merchants when it comes to getting some quick capital.
Absolutely. So Momentum Business Capital is a one-stop shop for business funding. We do everything from A to Z, and most importantly, we keep the process very, very simple for ISOs such as yourself. Um, we work with many different lenders, and we eliminate the need for you to figure out which merchant qualifies where. So again, we essentially do everything from A to Z, do all the heavy lifting, and we keep the process super simple for you guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Sharon. And ladies and gentlemen, shame on me. Shame on me. I saw my co-host pop up on the screen and I forgot to introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to introduce my co-host. He can help solve all of your technology issues and technology problems and provide you with solutions, all with half of his brain tied behind his back. Ladies and gentlemen, give some love to my co-host, Mr. John Marshall. Hey, John, are you still there?
I'm here. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, there we go. I saw you pop on the screen and I was like, dang it, I did it again. I forgot to introduce my co-host.
Well, I got in a little late, so thank you for that. And I'm
Ah,
excited to sit in on this topic too, because going into the holidays, this is a great time to be talking about capital.
Yeah, it really is. And Sharon's going to drop some good knowledge on you guys too. So let's jump right in because Sharon, believe it or not, like we just showed that calendar with like, hey, everybody, here's some upcoming events for the month of November. But then in the back of my brain, I'm going, holy crap, we're actually coming up on November. What are some of these conversations that our agents should be having with merchants prior to the holidays, brother?
Great question. I think right now, especially more than ever, businesses need capital, whether it's for inventory or, hiring extra help, whatever it may be, there's a need now more than ever, especially towards the end of the year. You guys are talking to your merchants on a daily basis. You're going, from shop to shop. And it's a simple conversation, hey, how's business? Can you use some capital? Can you use an extra boost right now? Are you looking for anything? And it's really that simple. We have an application. It's one page. Um, that's all they need to fill out. From there, we'll kind of call you or the merchant, have a conversation with them, figure out exactly what they're looking for, and we provide them with that white glove service, and try to match them with a funding solution that fits their needs.
Yeah. And primarily, just so that, and once again, just old Scotty's brain is just kind of kicking into gear here. Agents, I forgot to say to you, as always, we do want your questions. We do, trust me. So we're going to get through a little bit of content, and then probably about 20 or 25 minutes into this, that's where we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to open it up to you, the sales agent. You can come off mute, you can ask your questions, or if you feel more comfortable, you can throw your questions into the chat. We're going to make sure that we do get those addressed. So Sharon, let's talk about this a little bit more. So what is it that you're specializing in? For the most part, your bread and butter, the one thing that you're really the best at is the merchant cash advance, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I'd say about 95% of our business overall is the merchant cash advance. The rest of that is going to be, a line of credit product that we offer. And after that, it's more niche, like, factoring or purchase order financing, equipment financing. Again, that takes a very small percentage of our overall business and what we focus on, but between the merchant cash advance and the line of credit product, that is really what we're heavily focused on. That's really what we're good at accomplishing for the merchant.
Yeah. And the nice thing about the merchant cash advance too, so let's dive into some of the benefits of a merchant cash advance versus working with a traditional bank. So as an example, matter of fact, rather than me provide the examples, I'm going to kick it over to you. So why should business owners give consideration to a merchant cash advance versus, well, hey, I work with my local bank. How would we overcome those objections, Sharon?
Great question. So, I mean, as you know, you go to a bank, it's not a quick process at all. They're asking you for 100 different documents, the last 5 years of tax returns, personal, business. They need your credit to be perfect. I mean, they want you to basically get a needle and pull your blood before they even have a conversation with you about terms. Um, at Momentum, it's very different. We are not credit based. We're not really focused on the merchant's credit. Um, it's definitely a plus in terms of getting them better terms overall, but even merchants with sub 500 credit, we could qualify. Um, it's a super simple process, minimal documentation. We're looking strictly at just 4 months of business bank statements and a one-page application. Um, we typically get an offer for the merchant within usually same day, and there's money in their account within 24 to 48 hours of applying with us. So it's a very quick, painless process. For funding, the only steps that are needed is a copy of the merchant's ID and voided check, which I assume you guys have anyway when you're signing them up, um, for processing. So it just it's a super easy, simple process, and it's not a lot of work for the merchant. These guys are running a business. They don't have time to sit there and go to the bank 50 times and look for all these documents and figure all these things out. They have a need for capital. They can't wait 3 months for the bank to help them. They need something immediately. Most of the time, You have a pizza store, their oven breaks down. If his oven isn't working, he can't wait 3 months for the bank to give him financing. You have a smoke shop. His inventory is down, or really any retail business where he just needs inventory, especially now towards the holidays. They can't wait until January 1st when the bank approves them. If the bank approves them, they need that now. And that's where we specialize at is just getting them something quickly and efficiently.
And I jotted down a couple of things that you said because I want to make sure that we revisit a couple of these things because I think they're really key. I see my co-host John Marshall has his hand up. John, what do you got, big guy?
Yeah, so actually, I have two prongs here because you
Okay.
just moved it. So, Sharon, if you would at some point take on what types of businesses are very holiday seasonal and how and what reasons and uses for that capital do they need? And part B, you said it before, as far as bank statements, if you could share why bank statements are more valuable than, say, some of those Clover Capital or Square Capital and what they miss.
Great. So I'll start with the second part of the question first. Square, or just looking at processing statements and what Square Capital and all these other processing funding are missing is they're strictly looking at what is coming through the processing. Businesses, yes, they are relying heavily on credit cards, but that's just a partial amount of their overall deposits. It doesn't account for cash transactions, checks, wires. It's there's a whole bunch of other money coming into an account or into the business that's not coming through the processing. And that's typically where we can outperform Square or any of these other, processing lenders is, the merchant might be doing $30,000 in processing and they're going to be conservative and give him a $20,000 offer on that 30K that he's doing. Whereas that same merchant may be doing 50 or 60K in the bank statements, um, and we could give him that full 50 or $60,000. So not only is the merchant able to qualify for much higher funding amount, it's just first of all, everyone's happier. The merchant's happier. We're happier because we're getting a higher commission on the funded amount. It's really a win-win for everyone. The other thing is when you do a split or you do these things through the processing, it's a headache. Sometimes you have to create a lockbox where it basically delays the merchant's funding into their account for 24 hours because it has to go through the split process. For us, it's same day funding through the bank account. It's a simple ACH that's coming out of their account, whether we are pulling it on a daily basis or weekly basis, whatever the merchant is more comfortable with or what they qualify for. Um, it just it's not messing with your processing. Heck, 90% of the time, we're not even going to ask for processing statements. We don't care to look at them. It has nothing to do with what we're going for.
And John, what was the first part of your question that you threw out there, my friend? Could you
Oh,
revisit that
why?
again?
Yeah, why Q4 is perhaps more important for cash advance than any other quarter. What are those businesses using it for? Who can our agents go and talk to who are the ones who probably could use it?
Great question. I honestly, I don't think there's a specific industry. I think just overall towards the end of the year, you look at statistics, the economy towards the end of the year, people are spending. People are buying gifts. They're going on vacation, whatever it is. That people are spending money towards the end of the year, and um, businesses need capital. They need, whether it's help, extra help they need to hire, whether it's inventory. It's really, any industry. But I'd say retail is a great industry to focus on right now. Anything that holds a product on their shelves is a fantastic industry to target right now.
Well, and we talked about something last week, which I thought was really interesting. Is you talked about the differences between up north and Florida, right? And you guys are busy in the warm bottom half of the year, and then the snowbirds kind of go elsewhere for the other half of the year. So it really depends regionally as well.
Correct. Yes. So, I mean, like you said, states like Florida right now, during the next, I'd say 6 months is where most of these businesses really make majority of their income to survive the rest of the year. Um, and, again, in 6 months from now, all those snowbirds, all those Canadians, all those New Yorkers are kind of going back up north. And then we have places like New York and stuff that start getting busy. On the other hand, you have states like California where it's just fantastic weather all year round. There's not really any seasonal business. So, if you're on the West Coast, especially like Los Angeles, California, states like that, I'd say your merchants probably need funding throughout the year. I mean, in general, I think businesses need funding all the time. It's just a matter of catching them at the right time and offering it to them. But definitely, you have seasonal states, and it's great if you have merchants to focus on those states right now.
So, Scott, if you don't mind me continuing,
Go
you
ahead.
said something else that caught my ear, and we talked about this last week as well. So, you talked about your being able to do either daily ACH, weekly, whatever. But going back to the Square, those credit based, tell me about how they link it to the daily batch and how that could actually come back to bite them.
Oh, yes. That's a big point I missed. And this is where merchants really, in my opinion, get screwed from Square, Stripe, and other processing funding. They're essentially getting approved for a term, right? Let's say they're getting a $20,000 funding and it's to be paid through their processing in the next 6 months. The way it's set up is that they're taking a percentage of their sales daily. And what tends to happen is businesses are always growing. Um, and what tends to happen is that 6 month term really turns into something that's 3 or 4 months, where Square is now paid off, 30, 40% faster than what the term was supposed to be. Now, you would think that's a good thing because, oh, the merchant saved money, but these are fixed prices. So if the merchant borrowed 20 and had to pay back 25, whether it's that 6 months or the 3 months, he's paying that same amount back. With us, we have a fixed payment. And again, it's coming directly out of the bank account. So when we give a 10-month or a 6 month or whatever the term is, and we're pulling, let's say, 150 a week or 200 a week or whatever that amount is, it's never going to change. So when we give them a term, it's a real term and they're benefiting on that entire, length of term on the funding. We also, unlike Square and Stripe, we actually offer the merchant prepayment discount. So if they wanted to pay us off early, business is good, they just want to get rid of it. A lot of times we'll work with them and actually give them a discount on the remaining balance as well.
Yeah, so those are huge differentiators too. We are going to share a lot of good stuff here. Taking a look at the time. Agents, just want to make you aware that probably within the next 5, 10 minutes, we're going to open it up to you. You can come off mute. In the meantime, if you don't feel like coming off mute, but you'd rather put your question into the chat, go ahead and go for it. We're going to get your questions addressed within the next 5 to 10 minutes. One of the things I want to go back to, Sharon, at the very beginning when you were just kind of talking about how it is you work with businesses, the word credit popped right out at me. So for the most part, one of the things that kind of differentiates between working with you and working with the bank is the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not doing a hard credit pull, correct?
Correct. We do not ever pull credit on the merchant. We'll never do a hard inquiry on the credit. Um, we're doing a soft pull. It doesn't show up. It doesn't affect the merchant's credit. And that's also part of that, white glove service where it, it's a no obligation, no stress process. We're never pushing these merchants to take funding. And it starts with our underwriting process, which again doesn't include any hard inquiry. Whether the merchant takes funding or doesn't take funding with us, we want them to leave with a good taste in their mouth. We don't want any negative feelings. We don't want them to apply and get terms that they weren't comfortable with, and now they have a hard inquiry on their account and they're upset about it. For us, it's this is a no obligation process. It doesn't cost you anything to apply, doesn't affect your credit. We simply put together an offer. We'll call you. We'll discuss the terms. If they work for you, that's fantastic. If they don't, we'll obviously try our best to make them work. And if we can't, thank you so much. I'm sorry this was not the right product for you, and have a wonderful day. And we'll obviously relay that to the merchant, to the ISO, and to everyone involved in the process.
Yeah. And throughout the entire process, you are in communication with our agents as far as where they're at in the process and everything, correct?
100%. I typically, the first thing I do when I see an application come in from PayCompass is I reach out to, Bree. Bree is like, hey, this is the rep on the deal. This is their email. This is their phone number. The first thing I do before I even call the merchant is I typically reach out to the ISO who brought the deal in, and try to figure out, hey, how involved do you want to be here? Because at the end of the day, this is your client. If you want to be fully involved in the process, you want to pitch the offer, you want to be in charge of it, we're not going to overstep on you. Um, and we'll keep in contact with you directly. At the same time, if we have someone who is just like, hey, I don't want to be involved, this is the deal, take over, we're happy to do that as well. We prefer to be directly in contact with the merchant just because it's a lot easier for us to ask the right questions, figure out what they're looking for. I mean, again, this is what I focus on. I wouldn't try to take over on merchant processing because frankly I have no idea what that entails for the merchant. So when it comes to this, I prefer to speak directly with the merchant, but again, I will respect the ISO on how they want to handle it. And we keep a clear line of communication. I typically give you guys my cell phone number. If you guys want to text me or call me or you have any questions during the process, I'm always available to answer.
One of the things that I also want to just kind of revisit also, when you were talking about when you're working with a merchant, not really any sort of a penalty for an early payoff, correct?
Correct.
To which, based upon that white glove service that you are providing, and this is actually a pretty decent statistic, there's actually a pretty good return of not a return of investment, but there's a higher likelihood that said merchant is going to think of you first when they're in the market for yet another merchant cash advance. And the percentage that you shared was about 33% of those merchants typically will say, hey, you know what? I really enjoyed the experience working with them. Let's do it again. Correct?
Yeah, and that 33% is for people who end up paying off early, who come back later for additional funding. What's interesting about what we do is typically when the merchant is about 50 or 60% paid in, they'll qualify for a renewal with us. So we now have, keep in mind, these are completely unsecured products, right? So a lot of it is relationship based with the merchant as well. So once we have a positive payment history and the merchant's about 50 or 60% paid in, we'll reach out to them. We'll be able to offer them additional funds, longer terms, better rates, all that good stuff. I'd say about 60 to 70% of merchants who don't pay off early, who just continue on with the process, end up being repeat customers and taking additional funds with us. So that 33% statistic is more for people who, they took funding with us, they paid us back off early, and then in 3 months, 4 months, whatever that time frame is, they'll call us and say, hey, I need more capital. For the people that actually just continue to pay and don't use that early payment, I think it's closer to 60 to 70% of people that we renew and provide additional capital to over and over again. And obviously, you guys get paid for the life of the client, whether we fund them one time or 100 times. You guys will always get paid on the deal.
Yeah. And just one thing I will put out there to you, the audience, is that as far as your payout is concerned, it is a percentage based upon the loan that the merchant took out. This is something that we're not going to cover, explicitly here in today's call. However, I did get this information out in front of sales leadership. So as always, if you are curious and want a better understanding in regards to, well, gosh, what's going to be in this for me, you can reach out to your RSDs, such as Trissy Taylor, or you can reach out to John Stagnaro, Andy Roth. All of them have the information in front of them. They're more than happy to have those conversations. We're getting ready to break so that we can take some questions, but just to kind of go back and revisit something very quickly, we were talking about who is the ideal candidate. So some of the ones that we have here, those retail opportunities, absolutely all day long, especially liquor stores that are trying to build up their inventory prior to jumping into the holidays. So we got retail, liquor stores, smoke shops, restaurants. This was an interesting one that you threw out at me, Sharon, and I never really stopped to think about it, but you threw it out there, and I want to kind of expand upon it a little bit.
Medical.
Medical,
Medical.
exactly. Talk to us.
Yeah,
Talk to us.
it's surprising, but doctors' offices, really anything medical. I mean, first of all, their payroll is significant. I mean, these are not people getting paid 8, 10, 15, $20 an hour. I mean, they have big salaries, so they have high payroll costs, high um in general, a lot of how they get paid is also based off insurance companies. So there's a long wait time before these guys are getting money. So um you have your copay that essentially we pay when we go to the doctor, and then you have what the insurance covers. And typically that could take anywhere from 60, 90 days for them to collect. So they're left with a massive, you know, cash flow need that they need to figure out essentially. There also, medical equipment is extremely expensive. I mean, you walk into a dentist office, you see that chair and table with those lights you're sitting on, and that thing can cost 50, 60, $70,000. Those things are expensive. And they have an x-ray machine, an MRI machine, all these different equipment. It is very costly to have those things. So medical offices, believe it or not, are a great industry. And they are always looking for funding, and typically, from my experience, they qualify for a large amount. So from a commission perspective, you could easily fund those guys 100, 200K. It's a nice payday for everyone essentially.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up as an example. And sales agent, I got to tell you, I'm super excited to get this information in front of you because when we put together today's session with Sharon, like there's even more stuff that we haven't even covered yet. But hopefully, this is going to help you to have those conversations with your merchants. I'm going to just say very quickly, let's pause. I'm going to open it up to you, the sales agent. Come off mute. We'd love to hear your questions, or go ahead and put your questions into the chat. I see one question being thrown in there right now. No equipment leased product, correct? Equipment leasing?
So so we could do equipment financing. Now, when I say equipment financing, I don't mean POs or really anything technology. We're not going to finance. I mean, it has to have value. When you sell a POS equipment or a computer, it's basically lost its value the next day. I mean, let's
Right.
be real here. The type of stuff we will do financing for is going to be larger ticket items. Like, for example, you have a trucking company, the guy needs a trailer. Again, like medical equipment, things that have a monetary value that we, if the loan doesn't go well, we have something to collect on essentially. Now, again, keep in mind, this isn't our main focus. I'm not going to say that it's something that we excel at, but it is something that we could help with if a merchant cash advance or a line of credit is not what the merchant is looking for. It is something we could do. And the minimum, just to throw it out there, the minimum amount of the equipment would have to be $50,000. We won't do equipment financing for anything less than that.
Would you say that it would be a best practice for one of our agents to connect with you first if they even remotely wanted to entertain that? So this way it gives you an opportunity to qualify as either yes or no?
100%. The last thing I'd want to do is for and the merchant to fill out the application, go through all these steps for something that I could have just said, hey, we're not going to do this. So just to save your merchant's time, and again, for me, it's very important to keep these merchants happy. I don't want anyone to be upset. That white glove service is really important for me. So the last thing I want to do is have your merchants waste their time filling out all this information, uploading all these documents, and then getting declined almost instantaneously. So when it comes to products that are more niche, that aren't the cash advance, I'd say definitely reach out to me. I'm happy to speak with you and see if we can do that, and we can continue from there.
So just wanted to make sure that we got that covered because that is going to be a best practice. And to Sharon's point, when it does tie into technology, things that have computer chips or anything along those lines, much like buying a brand new car, the moment that you take it off the lot, it starts to depreciate right there. Sharon is going to be more than happy to work with you in those instances if you do have questions. I did see Alan Bernard had his hand up earlier. Alan, did you still have a question, my friend?
I do.
Go ahead.
Um,
Good to see
I
you,
do
my
a
friend.
lot of work with companies that are in the solar industry, commercial and residential solar, that they use like traditional finance banks and that sort of thing for funding of projects, but they don't get paid on those projects oftentimes until, a job is done, like 4 months later. Uh, but they have to buy the equipment, the solar panels, the inverters, the storage batteries, the racking, all those sorts of things in the process. Would that be the type of thing that you might consider funding?
It really depends. That sounds more like kind of a factoring than anything. That now the products that they're buying, I guess this is more of an individual conversation that we could have
Right.
privately. But I would want to know if the products they're buying are from like a corporation, or is it like where are they purchasing it from? Is it
Yeah, yeah, they're definitely from other corporations, uh,
okay?
for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
maybe if I can get all your contact information, we can have a one-off discussion on it.
yeah, I'd be happy to share my. I'll put that in the notes towards the end, or Scott can share that with you guys, and I'd be happy to have a more detailed conversation about that later with you.
Sounds great.
Excellent. Thank you, Alan. And to Bob, I saw you put a question into the chat. Man, oh man, you are like one step ahead of us. We are going to cover what's happening across the landscape with SBA loans. So hang tight for just a little bit. I promise you, this is part of our content that we're covering. What other questions do you have, agents? You guys got the expert right on the call right here, right now. Let's hear from you. I got so excited, I got a little bit of spit. Did you see that? This is being recorded. I can't wait to see this on YouTube. Right at the 30-minute mark, did you see it come out of his mouth? It was amazing. I know. Welcome to my life, people. What other questions do we have, friends? Come off mute.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Steven.
Hey, if I'm approaching a business, what would be like the key word that I'd be saying to the business owner regarding momentum funding? Without going into a lot of detail, keep it simple. What are some key words to use? What would you say?
What would resonate with a business owner, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
again, I think it's just a super simple conversation. I mean, there's multiple ways. It's just something of like, hey, how's business? Do you need funding? PayCompass now offers, capital for merchants. You don't even have to necessarily mention momentum, because the whole idea of what we're doing is trying to be an internal part of PayCompass. And right now we're actually working on white labeling a lot of the stuff, so it's coming off directly as PayCompass in general. So I wouldn't really worry about overcomplicating it with like momentum PayCompass. I think it should just be a conversation of like, PayCompass now offers funding, just like Square, just like Stripe, just like all these other companies. Do you have a need for working capital? Can the business use some additional funding? I think those are really just the things to focus on. Another thing I'll throw out there real quick is I'm sure many of you guys have, you guys have a portfolio of merchants. And I'm sure you probably send some sort of email to them. And you guys can secure, additional income very simply and help your merchants by just putting a one-liner at the bottom of your email. Does your business need additional capital? Click here. And I've had ISOs do this, and just that one line at the bottom of an email can generate you a lot of extra commission, and it helps your merchant. And I know a lot of people here are probably thinking my merchant doesn't take cash advance, it's expensive. And I've seen this time and time again, and there's so many processors I work with that I get deals from other brokers, from other ISOs that are trying to earn this guy's business. And they tell me all the time, oh, my merchant doesn't take funding, and we get the bank statements, and this guy has 2 or 3 loans already in place. At the end of the day, this is something very important. If you are not offering capital to your merchant, I promise you, somebody else is. And if you think that they're not taking it, I promise you, they are. Don't make decisions for your merchants, is all I will say to you guys.
Sharon, I want to thank you for something that you just brought up. So, agents, this is the part where I'm just going to say timeout. We're going to pause real quick. Sharon just said that we're in the process of white labeling, and this is a true statement. So, just prior to jumping on this Toolbox Tuesday today, I received an email from our fine friends out in Tempe, and they're working on collateral that is either in Navigo, it's going to be in Navigo very soon, where this is going to be a white labeled experience where it's going to be PayCompass lending. Okay, I realized for the first 30 minutes of this call, it's been like, hey, everybody, welcome, Sharon from Momentum. But take heart knowing, moving forward, this is going to be white labeled so that you're going to be presenting it to your merchants as PayCompass lending. Sharon and his team, they're going to be working behind the scenes to make sure that we can get all of your merchants funded. Man, oh man, you guys are blowing up the chat right now. This is fantastic. Sharon, let's revisit something real quick. So you talked about some of these businesses that are a good fit. You said retail, liquor stores, smoke shops, restaurants, medical offices. Let's talk about who is not a good fit so this way our agents don't waste their time. Who would that be?
One of the main industries that I will stay away from is auto sales. Again, it's a very short list of what we can't fund. Auto sales is probably one of the hardest merchant industries to get funding for. Now, that's not to be confused with auto repair. We like auto repair. We will fund auto repair all day. Auto sales is a big no-no. We actually could fund CBD and marijuana, so that's a good industry as well. By the way, if you do have any merchants in that industry, that's something we could provide funding for. But other than that, anything, kind of illegal industries are going to be more or less blacklisted. Also, legal attorneys, attorneys' offices, stuff like that is typically not an industry we want to provide funding to.
All right. So just to kind of a quick recap on that, auto sales that's pretty much off the table, correct?
Correct. Credit card processing is another one. We cannot fund credit card processing. So like ISOs such as yourselves wouldn't be someone who we could fund essentially. Adult entertainment, legal services, auto sales, those are really the main stuff that we kind of want to stay away from.
Yeah. And I just wanted to make sure that we did get in front of that. So this way you're spending your time, quality, talking to the right people, especially with this topic. Let's give a little bit of love to Emily McMahon, our Director of Marketing. I saw that she put this into the chat, that all of the information regarding the lending program currently in Navigo, along with an email copy for agents to use when following up with merchants. Everybody give a little bit of love to that marketing department, man. They are on top of their game. Thank you so much for posting that, Emily. Do appreciate it very much. There we go. We got to give love to Drew Hernandez, who took the reins on that one. So, Drew, let's give you some love too, brother. Thank you so much for everything that you did, my man. We appreciate it. Tell you what, Sharon, we got some questions blowing up in the chat over here. Let's take a look at these and let's get these answered. So, let's see. Oh, this is what I wanted to revisit with you. Bob put in the chat, I have a merchant who purchased a couple of businesses and used SBA loans. He's currently getting trouble getting more money. Is this something that you would entertain? So yeah, let's get ahead of this because man, oh man, this is another thing I didn't even think about until you and I talked last week, Sharon, with the government being
Yeah.
shut down, all these poor people that filled out the SBA loan applications, and now they're in a holding pattern. How can you help them out, my man?
Correct. So right now, basically, as everyone's seeing with the shutdown, it's affecting a lot of different sectors, SVA being one of that. You had merchants that were approved, ready to be funded, and it's on hold now. So they need that capital. They were expecting that capital to come in. Where we would shine here is we could kind of do a bridge loan until that process is fixed. We could get them approved and we could take advantage of that prepayment discount once their SBA comes through. So that's something that we could definitely, utilize for the merchant. The other thing I'll say is even with the government being back up and running, let's say everything is going to be, operational as of today, there's going to be a minimum, in my opinion, 60 to 90 days, potentially longer, before they catch up. Our government is slow, guys. If anyone's dealt with anything, they're not efficient. It's going to take weeks or months for these guys to kind of get back in the swing of things, clear up their emails, get back on track of where they need to be. And the guy who's approved, who was supposed to get funded, on the 14th or whatever the date may have been, is probably not going to see those funds for at least another 30 to 60 days. And that's not even the applicants who haven't even been underwritten yet. So I think there's going to be a huge backlog of businesses that are going to be stuck in the SBA, even when the government does get back up and running. And again, where we would shine is use this as a bridge loan, use us as a bridge. We will give the merchant a prepayment discount. We could set dates in the contract, whether it's a 30, 60, 90-day prepayment. The amount of how much they would save would be dependent on how soon they pay us back. But we could put dates in the contract and outline for them exactly how much they're going to save based off when we get paid.
Yeah. And Bob, who put the initial question there, actually provided a little bit more context. So let's dive into this on his behalf. So what he was trying to say is this gentleman, this business owner, hasn't been able to get a loan before the government shutdown because of the SBA loans that he took out previously. Is this something that you would be able to entertain, Sharon?
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously would need to see the file, but 100%. We don't count bank loans or SBA loans or anything as a position. So it doesn't affect our capabilities of what they would qualify for. So 100%. Again, and it comes back to the fact that like the banks, the SBA has specific guidelines. They're credit driven, they require tax information. Um, our benefit is we're not credit driven, we don't need tax returns, we don't need that stuff. So we will 100% entertain that.
Excellent. And I saw a familiar face that I haven't talked to in ages, a fellow New Englander. He got his hand up, and good gosh, I'm going to call on him right now. Mike Zola, good to see you, my man. Come off here. What do you got?
How you doing? I just wanted to, hi Sharon, how are you?
Hey, Mike, how are
I just
you?
wanted to give a plug for these guys because I did a loan recently through them with Sharon, and I couldn't have asked for a smoother process. Little bumpy here and there just because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But overall, for anybody that cares, this guy will take good care of you. And my customer absolutely loves them. So like the guy gave me an opportunity I was competing against Square, and Sharon helped me compete. So
and how much more were we able to get them compared to their previous loans with Square? Because your merchant was telling me he was only approved for $20,000 with Square. We funded him 60,000, so we tripled that
75.
amount. Oh, was that what it was? 75,000.
You keep
Okay,
mixing me up with the other one.
even better. So I'm sure he was happy with the amount he qualified for with
Yeah,
us.
very happy. So, and the whole process was just, it was easy. So
Thank you. I
for anybody
appreciate
go
that.
out there, that's why I joined, to make sure I gave you a plug.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. We do appreciate it. Good to see your face, man. Look at this. We're neighbors. We both live in New England. We never see each other, but good Lord, you joined the call today. Good to see you, brother. There we
Nice,
go.
nice jacket there.
Rocking the jacket too. Thank you, Michael. Good stuff. We got more questions so you popping up in the chat here. This is a good one. If a merchant has their credit reports locked, do you need access to it or do you need it unlocked so that you can do that soft pull?
Yes, we will need it unlocked to do the soft pull. Again, it's not going to show up. It doesn't pull. It doesn't have any hard inquiry. It's never, the merchant will never even know that we looked at the credit, but we do need to do um, a background to see if they have defaults or whatever. You know, obviously we want to protect our money as well.
Yep. And Bob, I saw that you put a comment in the chat. You said, "Can I ask a question live?" Of course you can. Come off mute, Bob. What do you got?
So getting back to my scenario where the business owner just purchased a few businesses using the SBA loans, since he just purchased them, will he qualify or does he have to wait 3 years?
He definitely does not have to wait for years. There is a wait period, of course. We typically want to see at least 3 or 4 months of business bank statements. So I would say that's the bare minimum. If he can wait 6 months before applying, that would be a huge plus. But as long as he's owned the business for 3 or 4 months, he has bank statements coming in, and I'm assuming since it's an existing business, it's going to have somewhat stronger revenue. I'm sure he's not buying a business that's only doing, you know, a few thousand a month. We would definitely be able to consider him for funding. Now, I do just want to be very straight up in our capabilities. When it is a newer business, especially newer than 6 months, it's going to be considered high risk, even if he bought an existing business, because it's a new EIN, it's a new operator. So it is going to be considered high risk, and his terms on the first time funding are going to reflect on that. But we can still assist him, definitely.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank
And,
you.
and while and Scott, sorry, while we're on the subject, I'll just say, you know, our basic qualifications, we want to see a minimum of $10,000 in deposits per month. Now, again, keep in mind, this is 10,000 in the business bank account. So if your merchant is processing 7 or 8,000, very, very good chance he's probably at that 10,000 number in the bank statements. That's really our main qualification, is the business needs to do a minimum of 10K. The other thing I'll say is just so we could be realistic with expectations and everyone's happy with what the merchant can expect. We could typically fund up to 150% of what the business is grossing monthly. So if you have a business doing 50K in deposits a month, that's going to be give or take what they're going to qualify for. So if you have a merchant who's doing 50,000 and he's looking for $1 million, it's probably just not, it's not realistic. So just again, I don't expect you guys to sell this product, but just having a very basic conversation of, hey, this is what you'll qualify for. Do you still want to apply? Will save everyone a lot of time on the back end.
All right. I saw a question in the chat, and Stephen, I'm actually throwing this back to you, my friend, because I want to make sure we get clarity on this. You can respond either with a text in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, come off mute. The question you were asking is, do we have a link that we can add to our email signature? Are you referring to a link that would direct them to like a PayCompass lending page? I want to make sure we have clarity on that, Stephen.
Yes. My main thing is like they can see it, they can click on it, and if they go to the link, they would PayCompass know that it was coming from, it was a referral from me.
Oh, okay. So I see where you're going with this. So if I'm your merchant or I'm one of your prospects, I get an email from you. If I click on a link because I want to learn more, it gets routed over to Sharon, his team. But this way you're kind of getting credit for being the one that sent the message over to them, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That I am not aware of. If somebody on our marketing team could assist with that, if somebody has a little bit more clarity, that would be.
I could probably answer that just because
Go
I've
ahead.
done a couple of these. So typically, yes, it's branded to PayCompass. So once an application comes in, we already know it belongs to PayCompass. And again, the first thing I do is I reach out to Bree or someone on the PayCompass team and find out who owns that deal essentially. And just like I got connected with Mike and found out that that's his deal, and we worked it together, it'd be the same process. So I'll find out who it belongs to, but even not, PayCompass internally does have a way to figure out where the deal came from by matching up the merchant, and you guys will get paid regardless.
Excellent. Thank you, Sharon.
Sure.
Thank you, Stephen. John Marshall, I did see your hand up. I'm going to call on you in a second. I did see another question in the chat that we want to get addressed because I think this is a great question. Let's talk about businesses that are brand new. So the question, can you entertain SBA loans for new businesses at this time, or are you looking more into established businesses?
So if it's again, it's similar to the last one. If it's a very like brand new business, less than 6 months, it definitely it provides us with limitations in terms of what we could provide. Our bare minimum again is at least 3 or 4 months operating. But anything after 6 months, we could qualify, and anything over a year is considered a pretty established business to us. So, as long as again they're operational for 3 months, 4 months, we could most likely get them qualified again as long as the deposits look good and everything looks good.
Excellent. John, what do you got, my man? I saw your hand was up earlier.
So Sharon, we've talked a lot about cash advance, and you also mentioned working line of credit. I was wondering if you could spend a second. We kind of get our head wrapped around the cash advance, but what is a working line of credit? How does it differ? And why would it benefit me, the merchant, compared maybe if I don't need a cash advance right now?
Great question. So a line of credit is a lump sum you get qualified for. You basically get a portal login. You're approved for, let's say, 100,000, and you're able to pull on that whenever you need it. Let's say you have a need for 10,000. Simply put in your credentials, draw 10,000. You're paying on what you're using for the amount of time you're using it. And the main benefit of that is going to be especially for businesses like medical, where I mentioned, their receivables aren't always coming in immediately, like a restaurant or retail. There's a need for cash flow for them, so they're gonna use that line of credit when they need it. Another thing is, like, if you have a business that's strong, I always say apply when you have a strong business, because a lot of times what people do is they wait till the last minute, and now they start having NSFs, they have negative days, their bank looks like shit, excuse my language, and they're not going to qualify for the terms that they want. Versus you're in a strong position, your business is doing great, take advantage of that, apply for a line of credit. The only thing you need to do to keep that line of credit is to keep $1,000 draw pulled out. I mean, the payment on that is pennies a week, pennies a month. You're paying nothing on $1,000. Tell your merchants, keep that active line of credit. You never know when you're going to need it, and when you do, it's there. It's a simple login, and you have funds in your account same day.
So I really like that. To me, well, so I was a merchant for many, many years, a restaurant merchant, as a matter of fact, and we always had air conditioners on the roof or outdoor freezers that would crash. And those compressors are $8,000, $10,000, $12,000.
Yep.
So if you're out there knocking on doors, maybe I don't need a cash advance today, but maybe you'd like the security and knowledge of knowing that approval's in place. And when it's least expected, you can just go online and draw against it. I think that is a great conversation to have with merchants.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. What is it? A line of credit is similar to having car insurance. You don't know when you're going to need it, but you're going to thank God that you did get it in place. There we go. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. We'd love to hear more questions from you. So tell you what, agents, we're going to kick it back over to you again one more time. Come off mute, throw your questions in the chat. Let's get it addressed before we wrap up today's session. So what have you got, agents? Come off mute.
Hi guys, I have one.
Hey, McKinley.
As a business owner myself, is it still like for the line of credit, is it still the same application process and is still the same requirements for that side, or is it different at all?
So the application process is the same. In terms of requirements, there is a higher deposit that's needed. We typically want to see a minimum of 50,000 in deposits per month for the line of credit. The line of credit, again, it's an A-tier product, so we also do have a credit requirement. We typically want to see a minimum of 650 or higher credit for the line of credit.
Okay, and for all those guidelines, are we gonna have some marketing that we can kind of just go over that with merchants, or how are we doing that moving forward on the PayCompass side?
All right, so Emily from our marketing team did confirm that there is content that is being posted into Navigo or is already in Navigo. If we can get confirmation on that, so this way it gives you your talking points, that would be fantastic. Maybe that was, there we go.
Might
So look
be
at that.
easier for me to just come off mute. Sorry.
Yes,
So there's
please.
currently a marketing flyer that has a lot of information and also some email copy that my team's created that helps with follow-up after you've, called your merchant. We're also creating sales FAQs as well that will help when you're in the sales process. And those should be posted sometime today or tomorrow.
Sweet, thank you
Awesome.
guys.
You're welcome. Actually, I just got a note from Drew that he's reviewing those FAQs now, so they should be posted hopefully within the next couple of hours on Navigo to help you guys.
And Drew and I are in contact, so if he needs anything from me, just have him give me a call or shoot me an email. Happy to provide anything.
Awesome, thank you. We'll probably run them through you before we post them just to ensure they're 100%
Perfect.
correct.
Sounds good.
All right. And once again, mad love to our marketing team for everything they do. They don't just do public-facing marketing stuff, folks. They take care of you too. They love you. I'm telling you, the way that team is growing and the collateral that they're creating, you ain't seen nothing yet. There is more stuff that is going to be coming soon from our team. See, and look at that. Emily even confirmed it. We do love you guys. She does. And so does her entire team. And you know who loves you too? Me, Sharon, John Marshall. And that's why we want more questions from you. So come on, come off mute. You got a couple of minutes left. What have you got, team? John, maybe they're waiting for me to play Kiss again. What do you think? Is that what's happening here?
I think so.
Yeah. They want me to like close it out with like Detroit Rock City or something, maybe. I don't know what's going on here. But we are going to throw it out there because we are getting ready to wrap up. One more time. What questions do you have? Now's a great time. Come off mute. Or
I
you can
got
throw your
one
questions in the
question.
chat. Go ahead, Bob.
This is Bob. I'm meeting with a merchant tomorrow. They do about 150 to plus a month in processing. So I'm gonna try to push them on the line of credit because it's a restaurant. If we have questions, would we be able to call in and get someone from Momentum on the phone tomorrow, or how would that be?
100%. I try to make myself available all the time to you guys. Again, I'm happy to provide my cell number. You can shoot me a text or call me. And if I'm not available, I will happily direct you to someone on my team who could assist you guys. So if there's ever support needed, you're with a merchant, you have a question, the merchant has a question, absolutely reach out to me directly. You don't need to feel like you need to set up a call or do a whole thing. Ring my cell, shoot me a text. If I don't answer right away, just shoot me a text and I'll usually get to you within a few minutes.
All right, just to give you a heads up, it's 12:30 Central Standard Time
Okay, so
tomorrow.
no problem.
This call was perfect timing.
I have kids, man. I'm up at 5 a.m. Eastern. We're good.
All right. For everybody's knowledge, if you take a peek into the chat, I just did a copy and paste on Sharon's email address. This way, all of you have access to it. Yeah, we've got other folks that are asking for the cell phone number too. Whatever works best, Sharon, as far as giving out your contact info. More than
Oh,
happy to
here,
work with you.
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna put them in the notes right now, my direct number and my cell phone as well.
All right, excellent. So while he's throwing that into the chat, one more time, I'm going to throw it out there to you, the audience. What questions do you have before we wrap for today? And there we go. His direct line and his cell. Just put it into the chat for you. Last call. Questions, comments, observations before we break.
Guys, just remember, if you're not offering this to your client, I promise you somebody else is. And if that's the only thing I could leave you guys with today, it's that, take advantage of it. Make sure your client is at least going with a company who is providing them with the best possible terms that they qualify for. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad apples there that are giving these merchants 2-3 month terrible terms and pushing them into these, you know, loans that are not beneficial. Be the one to be in front of it, help your merchants. You get paid at the same time, you're helping them. And again, our goal is to get the merchant what they best qualify for, whether that's a 24-month term or a 6-month term. We will do our best to get them a product that actually helps their business.
Excellent. All right, I didn't hear any other questions, so I'm going to assume everybody is all set. As always, I want to say thank you to you for joining us every single Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. But before we break, let's give some love to our special guest panelist, Sharon, who brought it all home today. Sharon, thank you for making the time to meet with us and create this content for today. Thank you for working with our marketing department so that they could get collateral in our centralized portal. You're the man. Ladies and gentlemen, give some love to Sharon, please.
Guys, so much appreciated.
Thank you so much. And to you, the sales agent, thank you for joining once again. We love seeing you on these calls, but we ain't done yet. Got another call coming up next week on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do Coffee with Closers with our CEO, Justin Volrath. As always, if you need any help, reach out. We can't fix it if we don't know where it hurts. Thank you again for joining today, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody.